operating system patches, for example. And it comes with many tools for managing releases, for load balancing, for networking. It supports continuous deployment, continuous integration. And these are all the reasons why Kubernetes adoption has been super strong in the last 4 years. So in a survey last year, nearly 3/4 of enterprises said they were using Kubernetes, and I'm sure it's higher today. So it's the industry standard for managing containerized applications. And of course, the best way to experience Kubernetes is on GCP with the Google Kubernetes Engine, or GKE, the only container service that's been generally available for over 3 years, and the only container service that's built and maintained by the same team that brought Kubernetes to you in the first place. But Kubernetes solves only part of the problem, because a lot of complexity remains at higher levels, especially in service management. So how containerized services talk to each other, how they're authenticated, how they can discover and use each other to build applications, and so on. And that, of course, is even more important today, as many companies are moving from monolithic software to microservices in an effort to make software more maintainable. So let me tell you how we are extending Kubernetes to address your fastest growing costs. I'm very excited to introduce Istio, another Google-developed open source product. And Istio extends Kubernetes into these higher level services and makes service-to-service communication secure and reliable in a way that's very easy on developers. So you can discover, connect, monitor services holistically across multiple locations, and you can still manage and monitor them all from a single place. And this automation doesn't just lower your administration costs, you actually have more information about your services, and therefore you can develop and manage them better. We started working on Istio last year with IBM, Cisco, Pivotal, Lyft, and Red Hat. And I'm very happy to announce that as of this week, Istio will go 1.0 and is ready for production use. And in fact, many of our customers are already using it in production, including eBay and AutoTrader. Thank you. So let's take a look at how Istio Service Management actually will work. So at its center are certified Kubernetes environments. We introduced Kubernetes certification last year in an effort to further ensure compatibility. And today you can choose from many certified Kubernetes environments. And on GCP, of course, GKE is the best way to use Kubernetes and has a fully managed service that's very close to the open source Kubernetes, but with much lower operational hassle. And the same will be true for Istio. So today I'm very happy to announce that service, Cloud Services Platform, which is a fully managed service platform that puts all of your cloud management of Kubernetes and Istio in one place, and is created and supported by the same teams that write Kubernetes and Istio. So with the Cloud Services Platform, you can better control traffic with dynamic route configuration, and it's easy to conduct A/B tests. It's easy to have release canaries. You can do gradual upgrades using incremental deployment. For visibility, we're also expanding Stackdriver, our monitoring and management solution, so that service monitoring will work out of the box. So you can understand the performance of an application with built-in request tracing and profiling. And last but not least, the Cloud Services Platform also supports serverless, making your developers even more productive. So that's a lot of functionality, but in fact, it's only the start of building a stronger, more customer-friendly, fully hybrid and open way to use the cloud. So let's look at this live at the demo. So please welcome Weston and Matt.
Thank you, Urs. All right, to see how Cloud Services Platform helps me as a developer or operator, let's take a look at a typical retail app, the kind of multi-tier app that just about every company, regardless of size, has. Now, for this demo, we've built a Kubernetes app called the Hipster Shop, your one-stop shop for everything you need for the hipster lifestyle. Let's actually take a look at how this app is implemented under the covers. To do that, we'll jump over to the Google Cloud Console. So we deploy this app on GKE, our managed Kubernetes service. Here, you can see all of the Kubernetes deployments that makes up this app. Let's zoom into the cart service. You'll notice that it's deployed across 2 clusters for redundancy, one in the east and one in the west. But as a developer, I don't want to think about deployments. I want to think about how these deployments are related to the microservices that make up my application. And Istio helps me with that. So I deployed Istio into both of these clusters, and immediately I start seeing interesting data for the services. And to see that, we'll turn to Stackdriver and use the new service management features that light up automatically once you've installed Istio. What you're seeing here is the new service topology graph in Stackdriver. Right away, instead of getting a list of services, I get a graph that shows my microservices and the relationships between them. The circles represent my services, and the lines are the dependencies between those services. If I hover over the line, I can see which services are communicating with each other. Oh, and by the way, all of this works out of the box, no scripts, no code changes. Istio automatically sends the appropriate metrics, which then builds out the graphs displayed here. So let's drill in a bit. If I click on the front-end service, I get a pop-out with several relevant metrics that show my service's health. I can see things like number of requests per second, errors that my end users are seeing, and even end-to-end latency for my service. Again, there was no extra instrumentation required. Istio automatically collects this data. But if I notice a problem, I'll want to investigate even further. Let's take a look at the new metrics view for the front-end service. The bar at the top of my screen shows me a timeline over the last 6 hours of interesting events that Istio captured automatically, things like errors or performance anomalies. The graphs off to the left show me critical traffic metrics. On the top graph, I get a count of requests grouped by error code, so I can easily see if users are hitting things like 500 errors. And if I scroll down even more, I get a heat map of my service's response time. This service-level intelligence that Istio provides helps ensure higher reliability and availability for my application. Now, that's a look at individual metrics. But what really matters is whether we're meeting our business objectives. And that's where service-level objectives come in. Here, you can see the new SLO dashboard. This gives me a detailed look at business-critical services, things like whether my buy button is throwing errors or is experiencing high latency. So in this case, we've established 2 service-level objectives, one around availability, which we've set at 99% uptime for a 30-day window, and another one around latency, which will send us alerts if we notice performance increases at the 90th percentile. From this screen, I can jump off into a number of new features like application traces and error aggregation for Istio-enabled services, which we'll get to in much more depth in the breakout sessions. These are just a sample of the features that we've added to Cloud Services Platform. Back to yours.
Thank you, Wes. So the Cloud Services Platform brings many advantages to containers because having Istio and Kubernetes, you manage not just the implementation and deployment of a service, you manage the service itself as it is running. Now today, for some people, a cloud strategy is just a combination of lift and shift for your existing workloads and writing new single cloud application code for new applications. But that approach misses so many benefits of the cloud. Using Istio, in contrast, you get a common platform to train your people against, a common service and security model, reduced operational complexity, and faster innovation. So get more what the cloud has to offer: better security, lower costs, simplified operations, all based on open source. And as you just saw in a demo on Google Cloud, you get the best way to experience in Istio with a fully managed, hassle-free service that's still fully compatible with the open source version. But there's something else we want to show you today, and something that makes the cloud service platform truly revolutionary. So back to you, Weston.
Thanks. So everything you've seen here is running on Kubernetes, and Kubernetes runs everywhere. But the one thing we hear consistently from customers is that they love the automatic management features of GKE, but that they also need those management capabilities wherever they have compute, whether that's in their own data center, in a grocery store, or on a factory floor, everywhere. So let's go back into the Cloud Console. When we started the demo, I said that this app was deployed across 2 GKE clusters, one in the east and one in the west. But the one thing I didn't tell you is that the second GKE cluster isn't actually running on Google Cloud Platform. In fact, if we zoom into the location field, we can see Moscone listed as the location. This cluster is running on a vSphere rack right here on stage. Today, I am very excited to announce GKE On-Prem, a managed Kubernetes offering that runs inside your data center. With GKE On-Prem, you get the GKE experience directly in your environment. And the best part is that GKE On-Prem looks and feels the same as GKE in the cloud. I can continue to do things like edit configuration, set policy, or even deploy apps to my on-prem cluster, as well as my Google Cloud Platform clusters, all from the same tools. Think of GKE On-Prem as adding an additional zone to your app, but one that's running in your own data center. Back to yours.
Thank you. So there you have it. You can deploy and manage the same application using a single tool, on-premise if you want, on your own servers, managed through a browser. And so whether you're modernizing existing code by wrapping it in containers, or whether you're writing new modern microservices, you have one way to configure, one way to deploy, one way to secure, one way to audit. And either way, managing or monitoring the application is the same as on GCP. So you have a single, consistent, unified way to do your job. There's no multiple configs, no multiple policies, no multiple trainings, no separate teams. Just one place to do it right and deploy and go. And with our cloud marketplace, which we announced last week, you can find, purchase, and deploy container-based third-party applications into GCP or into on-premise environment and manage them exactly the same way. So that's what we mean by bringing the cloud to you. And that brings real, tangible benefits to customers. Because a consistent hybrid platform across all environments is a natural choice for many businesses for many years to come. So if you're running your services in branch offices or in factories or on ships or on GCP, you can use the same consistent way to deploy, manage, or secure those services.